Hello, YouTube. So today I wanted to talk about a couple of issues that are related. What does it feel like to be trans? Specifically, having a gender cop and watching mannerisms. A quick blurb on why gendered mannerisms are real, they don't invalidate gender, and why gender absolutely has a performance aspect. And then also relatedly, what cis privilege is and why mannerisms matter in processing cis privilege versus trans misogyny. So, first of all, growing up trans, even without understanding that I was trans, I started out with a huge hypersensitivity to gender. Not just like gendered appearance, but also what roles were appropriated to what birth sexes, as well as then what mannerisms were stereotypically assigned to males and females. And I did this through the same way that everyone else does, is you watch the people you grow up with, right? When you're young, it's watching aunts versus uncles and grandmothers versus grandfathers, your mom versus your dad, at family get-togethers. Then later, as you grow up older, you maybe go to the mall and people watch, and see how interaction differs between two men or two women, or a man and a woman, maybe boyfriend, girlfriends, and how those interactions, how the mannerisms change, body language, expressiveness with hands, things like that. And these mannerisms are essential to conveying our gender to third parties, to strangers, because we all learned them in a communal way. When you're young, you identify with a gender. Most of the time, you're cisgender and you identify with your birth-assigned sex. If you're trans, you identify with some other gender. In my case, I identified with women and female gender, so I paid attention to female mannerisms, dress, etc. And just like any other child, started mimicking them until I was, bullied for it or harassed for it, or had my personhood questioned for it. Because absolutely the entire time I understood that I was assigned male and that I was expected to be a boy and be a man, despite the fact that I didn't feel like that was the correct sex for me, that it wasn't supposed to be. Regardless, everyone learns gender roles and gender mannerisms when they grow up, and it's absolutely possible to relearn them, change them. Everyone is malleable, all people can change, and yes, part of gender is absolutely performance. Not all of gender is performance, but part of it is absolutely performance. And where that comes in with cis privilege is when you place so much emphasis on mannerisms and on roles and dress and expected outcomes, even life successes, and you place all of this import onto a birth-assigned sex, and then a trans person tells you that they're not that gender, they're immediately seen as less genuine than a cis person. You wouldn't question a cis woman if she's acting overly feminine. She's just being a woman. But if a trans woman is being extremely feminine, she's immediately considered fake. Similarly, cis women are generally praised for acting masculine because masculine women generally considered tomboys, and it's seen as a positive. Whereas a masculine performing trans woman is just considered a man, and her gender isn't seen at all at that point. It's part of the reason that so many trans women perform their genders so enthusiastically, to try and get across the fact that we are female, and we are trying to let you know and clue you in to the fact that we are female. So, mannerisms. Growing up, obviously, picking up female mannerisms, being ridiculed for displaying them, and then flipping that switch to picking up and mimicking male mannerisms for my safety, basically meant that once I decided to transition and I decided to embrace my gender, turning off my gender cop, as it were, wasn't actually that difficult, because I had already accumulated all of these gender mannerisms and expectations within myself. It was a relatively easy task to discard the fake male mannerisms that I had adopted for self-protection, and just be myself. Just use the feminine mannerisms I had picked up when I was younger. It does mean that I tend to act a bit like an 80s or 90s girl, because that's when I was actively picking up female mannerisms. So it's kind of funny. I noticed that some of the things I do are kind of dated. So again, learning gender is a continuous process. You wouldn't do something that dates you if you want to be seen as a modern person, unless you want to be seen as old-fashioned or staid or traditional. So that's that's about it. Being aware of my gender, watching how I'm perceived. So much of second wave feminism focuses on gender as performance and making that invalid, and it's not invalid. It's just, if you're performing gender in a way that makes you uncomfortable, as I said in one of my previous videos, you're being inauthentic. If being overtly feminine doesn't appeal to you, then don't do it. It doesn't mean that femininity inherently is bad or fake or undesirable. It just means that it's not you. It's not for you, which is fine. We don't, people who don't like green cars don't assume that all green cars are stupid or worthless or fake or a construct of society. If femininity isn't your thing, it's not your thing. It doesn't mean that it's not, like, femininity isn't meant for all women. It's just not meant for you. And third wave and fourth wave feminism really kind of get to that, where you don't have to be a masculine woman, you don't have to be a lesbian to be a feminist. You can be feminine, you can like men, and you can still be a feminist. Because it doesn't matter. Because seriously, it just doesn't matter. Feminism isn't misandry, it's equality of sexes. So a lot of that second wave feminism, feminism is bad, or femininity is bad, don't be feminine, part of that, I'm a very feminine woman, and my attraction to femininity within myself made me feel really really invalid for a long time until I could finally shed those toxic and unhealthy assumptions made by second wave feminism that I had grown up on. And it's taken a while to get there, to really embrace myself as a feminine woman who can still be a feminist and can still work for the uplifting of all genders, especially doing the hard work to raise up women in a society where we are really not afforded every opportunity. We are really, really oppressed by the patriarchy and male-centric society. Even here in a liberal town where I live, there's very much pockets of very, very hard sexism still present. And if trans-exclusive feminists want to say that I'm not a real woman, that I can't wear that badge, I have one word for them. And I will continue to fight for their rights because I'm a woman, and feminism is about uplifting all genders, even the ones who don't think I exist or think I'm real. Tough shit. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about. This really short video. Yeah, I'm planning on doing a video on what dysphoria feels like. And I'm gonna try not to cry, because last time I tried to start that video, it was bad. I actually triggered my dysphoria. So that is coming up, I swear. I've also got some questions you should never ask a trans person. I will ask myself, and you can hear my answers, and then hopefully you don't have to ask a trans person, because you'll already know the answer. So those are upcoming, and watch for those on the channel. So anyway, thanks YouTube. Have a good day.